The amount of times that I've seen like people, politicians, obviously in Israel especially, but also like across the world, equating Palestinians with Hamas is ridiculous. Like it's so racist, and I know that's like a really old tactic that people use against like Muslims and to frame them, like assuming obviously there's a mixture of like Muslims and other folks in Palestine, but like equating like all Palestinians with Hamas. Well, I've just seen that so much, and it's just so racist. And there's this whole debate. If we're going to see Hamas as terrorists, we have to at least see Israel as terrorists, and people have the right to defend themselves if they're being attacked and oppressed. It doesn't seem like anything else works other than violence, and I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just saying, if Hamas is terrorism, so is Israel, and so is the US and Britain. Anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but yeah, but it's just like the amount of times I've just seen it used as the same words almost, like Palestinian and Hamas. It's just so racist. I know that's just what white supremacy is and looks like. It's just wild to me that people don't see that as a problem, and obviously like Israel's using that to justify like ethnic cleansing and genocide. So yeah, it's just such a shit horrible time. I'm really, I'm feeling for everyone that's struggling in this period as well, and free Palestine as always. Definitely think amongst other things, it's quite normal, but no less disheartening for people who are doing the right thing to get into the most trouble, to get like banned the most, shadow banned the most, silenced, persecuted. That is unfortunately all too normal. It's one of the reasons why I want to advocate for like systems or companies or like communities that protect obviously marginalized people, survivors first and foremost, and whistleblowers and people that speak out. And you're always working against the grain. You're always working against the systems at play. So yeah, I'm quite used to that. Like, yeah, and it's still quite frustrating. I can tell that my account is, I don't know, it seems like it's shadow banned, like nothing goes over 200 views, even if it's going really well. I mean, I'm still gonna make the content and share and post. It's just frustrating that it's so messed up that we have punishments for people that are doing the right thing and standing up against the right thing, and that's very normal and very like kind of the standard in society as well. It's just quite exhausting. Like, it's tiring for people to make content, and it's tiring for people to build up these platforms, and it's just so frustrating that these systems, colonialism, white supremacy, capitalism, patriarchy, they just always like double down on the people that are trying to change it and challenge it. And that's always been the case, but that's kind of why I think we should create like really strong systems that protect people that do that kind of work, that push against those structures like as a unit as well. Obviously that's about like, activism, community and care structures, networks, and obviously those things are created and quite powerful in certain areas. Hopefully that'll just be the norm in the future, where we can just all have each other's backs whilst we're pushing against this bullshit. Yeah. Hope you're all, just looking after yourselves as much as you can, and just keep working at this Palestinian, pro-Palestinian activism as much as possible. Yeah. And just remember that it's the Palestinian resistance that is the core of, the resistance against this genocide. And we're just providing that backup where possible as international folks. Well done, everyone. This is a horrible time. Sending out love to you. I definitely have noticed how when we're talking about like oppression and equality and those kind of themes, people are like very, very resistant to acknowledge their own oppressive tendencies or their own behaviors or reflect on those or talk about those. And I'm sure like some people do inside, and I do get like why, like there's this cultural idea that we have to be great and perfect and good at all times. But it just doesn't seem very genuine to me. But also, I don't think it's very useful for the equality anti-oppressive work either. If we're not like talking about these things openly and honestly. And yes, like some people might be worried that they're going to get like cancelled or whatever. But I guess the whole idea of like, which is, by the way, like there's this whole issue with the cancellation like notion. It's usually used against marginalized and like not right-wing people. Really, you know how really hard it is to actually cancel people that like deserve to be cancelled. It's really fucking hard. Okay. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, not that that doesn't happen, and I think people should be punished if they have done really horrendous things. But anyway, yeah. So I get that some people might be scared of that, and I get that maybe like crush their kind of identity of like being a good person if they are open about it. But the point is, people are oppressive all the time. Why is it more offensive or more horrendous to talk about these things than do those things? Like, anyway, so the point is I'm going to be talking about my own behaviors and times that I've been oppressive and thoughts about it. And there's also, I think there's really interesting thoughts about it and thinkings and things that we can learn about these things. Like I've said before, like I'd be much more comfortable around someone who was like, oh yeah, like sorry, that was transphobic, or yeah, that was ableist, or whatever, like to me, or in you know, conversation with me or whatever. That would make me feel more comfortable. It's not ideal, obviously, but that would make me feel more comfortable than someone being like, I am never ever oppressive and I'm just the best and blah 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 blah, and it's all in your head. You're crazy. What else do they do? Oh yeah, you're crazy, gaslighty, those kind of things. I think I would much prefer number one, you know. Anyway, so I'm gonna call this series, well, I don't really know yet, but my oppressive tendencies. No, my oppressive reflections. Something like that. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, the whole point of this is that I'm acknowledging that I am oppressive. So I think it's healthy, and I think it helps you to stop being like that and reduce it and move through it. And these are lifelong lessons. So it's not going to be a day where we're going to wake up and I'm like, I am never oppressive. No, that's not going to happen. It's a lifelong commitment. It's lifelong work. So this is part of that work for me.